was not. I may need points too. Alright guys, welcome back to another episode Up and Running. Thanks for watching. On this episode, we're going to continue working on the tune-up on the Lincoln, and I'm sure some other stuff as well, so I hope you enjoy it. Alright, the timing marks are right down there. I'm going to try to just sand on them a little bit, see if we can get them so they're legible. I can see where it says BTC before top dead center, but I can't see the other marks yet. I'm going to sand on them just a little bit yet and then get something to wipe that off. Alright, so I cleaned the marks up, and right there is 10 degrees before top dead center. Depending where I looked, I saw it anywhere from 4 degrees to 10 degrees. 4 degrees doesn't sound like enough timing. 10 degrees sounds more of along the lines of what I'm typically used to on these engines. So I marked 10 degrees, and we can kind of play with it, you know, once we drive it a little bit. Alright, so here's the coil on this thing. I don't even know that I want to even mess with it. If you look at it, you know, the end's all kind of chewed up on it. So this thing is not the best anyway. I think I'm just going to replace it. Just buy a new one, because I mean that thing is in bad shape anyway. And see if I have spark from that point. I really suspect the coil's bad in this, and I think that'll clear it up. It kind of explains yesterday when I was driving it. It was kind of spitting and sputtering a lot, and I have a feeling it was probably starting to die. So regardless, one way or another, it needs a new coil. So we'll start there and get it taken care of. Alright, I didn't do this belt earlier, so I'm going to go ahead and do this now. Whew, a little tight. Alright, go. This one I got to do a little differently. There's no room to get that tool in, so I'm just using a pry bar on it, and it'll work just fine. Alright, nice and tight. Something that is a must-have when you're working on these cars are good manuals. You know, the internet is wonderful as well. A lot of times you can just take the manual right out of the car with you. I know you can use your phone, but sometimes you get a lot of sketchy information on the internet where, you know, here everything's right in here. So here under Lincoln, tune-up specs, 68, 69, 460 cubic inch. It gives you the spark plugs, the gap 34 thousandths, the point dwell 26 to 31, 17 thousandths point gap, 10 degrees before top dead center on the timing, so on and so forth. So there's a lot of good information in these books, and they're very helpful. Alright, so I'm going to pull all these spark plugs out, and what I did is I ran all the wires in the corresponding order and snapped them into place so I won't miswire this thing when I'm done. I ordered new spark plug wires as well, so they'll be here in a day. But anyway, you know, we'll get that coil done and the spark plug wires, get the spark plugs all cleaned up. I'm going to use our little sandblast machine and clean them, and hopefully we'll be in good shape then. I got the spark plugs out. They all look basically about just like that. So I'm gonna go ahead and get these cleaned up, and we can get them put back in. And then this is the 4 that were on this side. So you can see they all look about the same, and we're gonna get them sandblasted and put in. All right, I just got a call from Jake down at the shop. He asked if I could help him for a little bit, so we're gonna fire up the old company car and go help him out for a little bit. At the same time, then we'll sandblast the spark plug, so make a little bit better use of our time. Alright, I got all these spark plugs gapped and cleaned up. I'm going to put a little anti-seize on them when I put them in. So it's just a better way to do it. Probably can't really see this, but this one's rusty inside. This spark plug wire is no good. Good thing we got new ones ordered. I'll stick it back on just for the fun of it, but it definitely needs to be replaced. Alright, we got them all done. Like I said, we're going to put new spark plug wires on here because these are not good. You know, they don't fit where they're darn. They're probably just generic ones that aren't necessarily even for this vehicle. So anyway, that'll do that job. All right, today I've got the new spark plug wires and the coil, and so we're going to go ahead and put those in. Now, if you don't know, like say for example, if somebody took all the spark plug wires off your car, here's how, in a nutshell, you figure this out. Basically, you have to get the engine to top dead center, the number one piston. In this case, it's on the passenger side in the very front. And then the manual will tell you the firing order. And in this case, it's 1, 5, 4, 2, 6, 3, 7, 8. And then if you look at the picture of the distributor, it shows you that it's got a counterclockwise motion. Sorry, couldn't remember that. Anyway, and so what you'll want to do is pull the number one spark plug out. So you got a hole, just put your finger over the hole. This is kind of the redneck way of doing it, but it works really well. And either have somebody turn the engine over or use a starter button and turn the engine over. And when your finger gets blown out of that hole, there will be air pressure that will build up and it'll blow your finger out of the hole. Stop rotating the engine at that point. Put a wrench on the crank, run that back and forth so 0 is lined up right with the indicator on the timing marks. And at that point, you're at top dead center. And so at that point, the rotor is going to be pointing, in this case, it'll be this direction according to that distributor. The number one cylinder is kind of at the 4 o'clock position. So the rotor should be pointing that way. Now, if the rotor's pointing the other direction, if it's pointing this way toward like 10 o'clock, you're 180 degrees off, but then you won't see your timing marks either. So that's how you know. You'll feel that air pressure, it'll blow your finger out. Just tweak the engine forward or backward a little bit to get that at 0, and then the rotor should be pointing that direction. And then you're at top dead center. And so that's spark plug number 1, that's number 5, that's number 4, and so on all the way around it. So that's how you do that. So luckily ours are all hooked up, and I know this did run fairly smoothly at one point, so I know the order's correct, but I always still double check it just to make sure when I'm putting the wires back in, just so there's no problems. All right, well, let's go out and put the new parts on. Now, another place to check the firing order on a car is on the intake manifold. On most of these old cars, you can kind of see it there, I think. You can verify it there that what you think the firing order is matches. Because if it's got the original intake on it, typically even an intake that fits, that firing order will be correct. So be sure to double check that. I wrote it down as well on a piece of paper, just so I can make sure that everything gets put in place properly. Alright, that's going to wrap it up for another episode Up and Running. Thanks for watching. Come back next time, we'll keep working on the Lincoln.